Mysterious Ancient Mariners. Part 5. The Feats of the Phoenicians. The Achaeans, immortalized in the thundering, windswept verses of Homer, are often hailed as the most celebrated seafarers of their time. Their ships, slicing through azure waters, propelled by the mighty arms of oarsmen and the breath of the gods, have become symbols of ancient Greek dominance. But while the Greeks are shrouded in glory, the Phoenicians, a contemporary maritime people, remain enshrouded in mist, their legends whispered like distant echoes of waves on a foggy night. And yet, though the full scope of their greatness is elusive, it is undeniable. Around 3000 BC, the Phoenicians carved out their homeland along a narrow strip of land, hemmed in by the looming shadows of the Syrian mountains. To their east, the rocky slopes rose like ancient sentinels, their faces bathed in the golden light of dawn. But to the west lay the vast open sea, a liquid desert stretching beyond the horizon, glittering under the unforgiving sun by day and glowing silver under the stars by night. With their backs against the mountains and the call of the ocean pulling them forward, the Phoenicians had only one choice: to take to the sea. The salty tang of the ocean became as familiar to them as the air they breathed. Their harbors bustled with activity, as long, narrow ships bobbed in the waves, their wooden hulls creaking softly, laden with cargo destined for distant lands. As they expanded, their high-sided, deep-hulled vessels, their sails taut with wind, began spreading out into the Mediterranean, cutting through the blue-green waves like silent phantoms. They founded colonies along the coasts, Tyre, Sidon, and most famously, Carthage. These names conjure images of bustling ports with the heady aroma of spices, the rattle of bronze coins, and the low murmur of deals being struck in dozens of tongues. Sailors, their skin weathered by the sun, loaded and unloaded cargo as the distant cries of seagulls echoed through the salt-laden air. Carthage, near modern-day Tunis, would one day become the jewel of the Phoenician world, a city whose very streets seemed to pulse with the heartbeat of maritime trade. But the lure of trade drove the Phoenicians even farther. Their ships ventured westward, the creaking of their hulls a constant companion on journeys towards Sardinia, Sicily, and beyond, into the mysterious Atlantic. There, in the land of Tartessus, now Spain, they discovered the glittering veins of tin, a metal they sought like gold. Mingling this tin with the abundant copper of the Mediterranean, the Phoenicians fueled the Bronze Age, a time when the clang of metal echoed across ancient workshops. By 800 BC, their westernmost outpost, Gadir, known as Cadiz today, was a thriving port, where the sharp smell of fish mingled with the earthy scent of fresh clay amphorae, brimming with olive oil and wine. And then there was the voyage that defied belief. Around 600 BC, the Phoenicians, with nerves of steel and ships built to defy the sea's wrath, embarked on a journey that would become the stuff of legend. According to the Greek historian Herodotus, these intrepid mariners circumnavigated the entire continent of Africa. Imagine their ships, small specks on the endless, heaving expanse of the Indian Ocean, as they sailed southward, that oppressive heat of the African sun beating down on their decks. The salty breeze, thick with humidity, clung to their skin, while the horizon stretched endless, a line where sky and sea blurred into a shimmering mirage. Each autumn they would beach their vessels on unfamiliar shores of Africa, where the air was rich with the smell of strange flowers and foreign earth. They sowed crops, waited for the harvest, and once their holds were full of grain again, they set sail, battling the unpredictable temper of the ocean. After 2 grueling years, the ships rounded the Pillars of Hercules, or the Strait of Gibraltar, their prows cutting through the cool Mediterranean waters once again, returning home triumphant. For all their daring, however, the Phoenicians were masters of secrecy. Their trade routes were jealously guarded, hidden behind a veil of eerie tales. They spun nightmarish stories of sea monsters with scales like jagged rocks and swirling vortexes that could swallow entire ships whole, dissuading rival sailors from following them. Even as they gifted the world the alphabet, the Phoenicians left behind precious little of their own written legacy. Instead, they guarded their true knowledge with the silence of the deep sea itself. As the Phoenicians expanded across the Mediterranean, the Greeks, invigorated by the Achaeans' fall, were also beginning to take to the sea. The geography of Greece itself was a call to maritime adventure. Jagged mountains slashed across the landscape, leaving narrow coastal plains where life clung to the soil like a tenacious vine. From almost every shore, a Greek mariner could stand, shaded by olive trees, and see the distant shapes of islands rising from the Aegean, like the backs of mythical sea creatures breaching the surface. The sea was always within sight, shimmering in the harsh sun, turning from sapphire to molten gold at sunset. The steady summer trade winds, warm and sweet with the scent of wild thyme, whispered a constant invitation to explore. By the time of Homer, in the 8th century BC, the Greeks knew little of the great Mediterranean beyond their own islands. But by 550 BC, all that had changed. Their ships, sleek and fast, darted across the sea like dolphins. Some 250 Greek colonies had sprung up along the coasts of the Aegean and Black Seas, stretching from the shores of Cyprus to the tip of Libya, from Sicily and Italy to the farthest reaches of Spain. These colonies thrived, trading in pottery, wine, and olive oil, the sharp tang of which filled the air of every port they touched. Meanwhile, in the city-state of Corinth, bustling markets rang with the sound of traders' voices, and the smell of freshly baked bread and roasting fish filled the air. Corinth's prime position on the narrow isthmus between northern Greece and the Peloponnesus allowed it to become a major hub for trade. Greek ingenuity soon led the creation of the Maritime Railway, where cargo ships were hauled across land, avoiding the dangerous journey around the southern tip of Greece. One can imagine the groaning of wheels, the creak of wood as ships laden with goods were pulled across the 3-mile stone track, their progress slow but steady. By 500 BC, shipbuilding in Greece had reached new heights. In the echoing dockyards, the air was thick with the smell of freshly cut pine and the sharp tang of pitch. Craftsmen labored tirelessly, hammering iron nails into the sturdy hulls of the ships. The Trireme, a warship with 3 rows of oarsmen, had emerged as a terror of the seas. With its gleaming bronze ram jutting out like a predatory beak, the Trireme could smash through the hulls of enemy vessels, leaving them to sink beneath the waves. These triremes would prove invaluable as new and dangerous enemies encroached upon the Greeks.